Section 1.4, pairs of angles. We're starting off with adjacent angles. Adjacent angles are two angles that share a common vertex and a side, but do not share any interior points. So we have two angles here, angle XZW and angle WZY are adjacent angles. Some more vocab should be somewhat of a review. Complementary versus supplementary angles. Complementary angles are two angles whose measures have a sum of 90 degrees, whereas supplementary angles are two angles whose measures have a sum of 180 degrees. And one cool way that helps me remember which is which, I take the first letter of the word. So complementary, you can very easily, turn it into, let's go back, a 9. And supplementary, you can very easily turn into an 8. So complementary, 90, supplementary, 180. Identify the following as complementary, supplementary, or neither. The measure of angle ABC plus the measure of angle DEF is 90. So these two angles add up to 90. That means they are complementary. 79 degrees plus 21 degrees. Let's see. That actually adds up to 100. So these are neither. Here we have an equation where two angles add up to 180 degrees. That means they are supplementary. We're looking at angle 1 and angle 2 in the picture to the right. Angle 1 and angle 2 are adjacent. They share a vertex and a side, and together they add up to a straight angle, which has a measure of 180. That means they are supplementary. Angle 3 and angle 4 in the picture below. I do not know what they are. It looks like they add up to a right angle, but there's nothing marked and there's no information that tells me that's a right angle, so I cannot assume that it is. So I'm going to answer neither. Find the complement of angle F. We just take angle F, 59 degrees. We know it would have to add to something else to be 90. So I'm just going to take 90 and subtract 59. The complement of angle F would be a 31 degree angle. So we're going to up the difficulty level. This problem just dealt with a number. Now we're given an expression for an angle. So we don't actually know what angle G is, the measure of it is, but we have an expression to represent its measure. So when we find the supplement of angle G, I'm going to take 180 and subtract whatever that expression is. So when we're given an expression, an unknown of an angle, the answer is always going to be an unknown with these types of questions. We need to simplify this. I'm subtracting this expression, so I need to distribute the negative symbol. So I'm subtracting 7x and I'm actually subtracting 10. Now I can combine like terms. 180 minus 10, 170 minus 7x. I need to put it in parentheses and use the degree symbol. This is the supplement of angle G. Now, a great way to check this is, I know supplementary angles should add up to 180. So if I take angle G and I add to it the supplement, this angle plus the angle that we just found, those should add up to 180. Let's check. 7x plus negative 7x is 0 x's. And we have 10 plus 170. We don't need to write 0x. It is 180. So that's a great way to check your work on these. Okay, now we're given two angles. XYZ has a measure of 2x. PQR has a measure of 8x minus 20. So number one, let's do some different colors here. Number one, if the angles are supplementary, find the measure of each angle. So supplementary would mean the two angles, 2x and 8x minus 20, add up to equal 180. So I'm going to solve for x. I get x equals 20. The directions tell me to find the measure of each angle. So I'm going to plug in. Let me scroll up here. For XYZ, it's 2x. 2 times 20 is 40. The measure of angle PQR. I can just take, since I know they're going to add up to 180, 180 minus 40, and I get 140. So this would be if they are supplementary. Now let's do the second problem, if the two angles were complementary. So now 2x plus 8x minus 20 have to add up to 90 if they're complementary. So the same algebra work. Now x equals 11. Now if I'm plugging it back in to find the measure of each angle, 2 times 11, 22 degrees. And I could subtract 22 from 90, or another way would be just to plug it in. And this is a good way to check to see if your answer makes sense. 88 minus 20 would be 68. So I can add up 22 and 68 and check and see if they equal 90, which they do. This is a really, really classic question. An angle is 10 more than 3 times the measure of its complement. Find the measure of each angle. So I love to draw a picture when one is not given to me. And since it says complement, I am going to draw a picture of two angles that add up to 90. I'm going to put that right angle box in there because I know they do add up to 90. And I don't know what one angle has as its measure, so I'm going to label it as x. And I don't know what the other angle is, but I do know its relationship to my other angle. It's 10 more than 3 times the measure of this angle, x. So I'm going to turn those words into an expression. 10 more means like plus 10, adding 10, and it's 3 times the measure. So I'm going to do erased, my bad. 3 times x, that's 3 times the measure of its complement, and then 10 more than that. So now I've represented both angles, and I know that they should add up to 90 because they are complementary. Combine like terms, we have 4x plus 10. Divide by 4, we get x equals 20. So if the directions say find the measure of the angle, and the angle is this one, rereading the directions, it says an angle is, so, and they tell us to find the angle. So I need to plug that back in. They're looking for 70 degrees. This is a great problem for you to try on your own. It's the same type of problem, 12 more than half the measure, and this is supplementary. So go ahead and pause and give that a try. Okay, I think this is the last bit of vocab. A name for angles that are both supplementary and adjacent. They are called a linear pair. And the name linear pair is nice because it has the word line in it. And those 2 angles should add up to make a straight line, a straight angle. So that is just a fancy word we use when angles are both supplementary, they add up to 180, and they are adjacent. That means they share a vertex and a side. So you can always draw a sketch that looks like that for a linear pair. So here I notice in the picture, these are a linear pair because they share a vertex and a side, and together they form a straight line, so they should add up to 180. .45 degrees equals x. Another picture of a linear pair. So we're going to have to set up an equation. 2x minus 4 plus 35 degrees equals 180. So combining -4 plus 35, 180. Let me use my calculator here. 74.5. Here again we have a linear pair, so I know this angle plus, let's not do purple, pink, plus this angle have to add up to be a straight line, which has a measure of 180. So combining like terms, 4x plus 20 equals 180, you can solve for x. Tell whether the angles are only adjacent and form a linear pair or not adjacent. So angle A AEB, AEB, and BEC. Those are definitely adjacent. They share this side, but together they don't form a straight line, so only adjacent. DEC, and AEB. They share a vertex. They both have a vertex of E, but they don't share a side. So they are not adjacent. And if they're not adjacent, they can't be a linear pair because that's part of the definition of a linear pair. Angle 7 and angle SPU. They do share a side, PS, but the green angle is completely inside of the purple angle, so those are also not adjacent. Angle 7 and angle 8, the same problem as the top picture. They share a vertex, but they don't share a side, so also not adjacent. And angle 5 and angle 6. Hey, those are adjacent. They share side PU, and together they form a straight line. So those are a linear pair. Great. Now, okay, this is the last vocabulary word. I forgot about this. Vertical angles. Vertical angles are two angles whose sides form two pairs of opposite rays. So, for example, we have angle 1 and angle 3. Those sides, we have one pair of opposite rays and another pair of opposite rays. So when two lines intersect, the vertical angles are kind of like kitty corner, I don't know the phrase, to each other. So angle 1 and angle 3 are vertical, and then we have another pair, angle 2 and angle 4 are also vertical angles. So all the pairs of vertical angles, angle 1 and angle 4, those are vertical angles. But 2 and 3 cannot combine to be vertical angles with 5. We have to just have two angles that are vertical. It has to be a pair. And so if I'm looking at angle 2 and 5, I see one pair of sides form an opposite ray, but these sides do not quite form a straight line. So those are not vertical angles. Find all the missing variables. So I see a linear pair here. I have a straight line and a ray shooting off of it. So angle Y and the 135 degree angle, those are a linear pair. They add up to a straight angle, which is 180. So Y is a 45 degree angle. And I see another linear pair here. So 2x minus 4 plus 45, those also add up to 180. Let's keep solving. Let me use my calculator. 139 divided by 2. So find all the missing variables. We found x and y. Okay, find all the missing variables. This is our last example. Super. So I see we have a linear pair with these two angles. So those two angles should add up to 180. Those two add up to 180. And we have another linear pair here. We have 4y minus 15 and y plus 20. Those add up to 180. So you can solve both of those for x and y. And those are your answers.